Imagine you were alive back in the 1980s and were told that computers would soon take over everything from shopping to dating and the stock market. That billions of people would be connected via a kind of web. That you would own a handheld device orders of magnitude more powerful than supercomputers. It would seem absurd, but then all of it happened. Science fiction became our reality and we don't even think about it. We're at a similar point today with genetic engineering. So let's talk about it. Where it came from, what we're doing right now, and about a recent breakthrough that will change how we live and what we perceive as normal forever. But until recently, gene editing was extremely expensive, complicated, and took a long time to do. This has now changed with a revolutionary new technology now entering the stage: CRISPR. If the old techniques of genetic manipulation were like a map, CRISPR is like a GPS system. Aside from being precise, cheap and easy, CRISPR offers the ability to edit live cells, to switch genes on and off, and target and study particular DNA sequences. In 2015, scientists used CRISPR to cut the HIV virus out of living cells from patients in the lab, proving that it was possible. In a few decades, a CRISPR therapy might cure HIV. And other retroviruses, viruses that hide inside human DNA like herpes, could be eradicated this way. CRISPR could also defeat one of our worst enemies, cancer. Cancer occurs when cells refuse to die and keep multiplying while concealing themselves from the immune system. CRISPR gives us the means to edit your immune cells and make them better cancer hunters. Getting rid of cancer might eventually mean getting just a couple of injections of a few thousand of your own cells that have been engineered in the lab to heal you for good. And then there are genetic diseases. There are thousands of them, and they range from mildly annoying to deadly or entail decades of suffering. With a powerful tool like CRISPR, we may be able to end this. Over 3,000 genetic diseases are caused by a single incorrect letter in your DNA. We are already building a modified version of Cas9 that is made to change just a single letter, fixing the disease in the cell. In a decade or two, we could possibly cure thousands of diseases forever. Modified humans could alter the genome of our entire species because their engineered traits will be passed on to their children and could spread over generations, slowly modifying the whole gene pool of humanity. It will start slowly. The first designer babies will not be overly designed. It's most likely that they will be created to eliminate a deadly genetic disease running in a family. But as soon as the first engineered kid is born, a door is opened that can't be closed anymore. Early on, vanity traits will mostly be left alone. But as genetic modification becomes more accepted and our knowledge of our genetic code enhances, the temptation will grow. If you make your offspring immune to Alzheimer, why not also give them an enhanced metabolism? Why not throw in perfect eyesight? How about height or muscular structure? Full hair? How about giving your child the gift of extraordinary intelligence? Huge changes are made as a result of the personal decisions of millions of individuals that accumulate. This is a slippery slope. Modified humans could become the new standard.
You know, the question always comes up, you know, if this type of thing were to happen with humans, you know, where do you draw a line, and if you do, where do you draw a line? I mean, if it's okay to correct the mutation that causes cystic fibrosis, but is it okay for someone to say, well, I'd like my child to have blue eyes and not brown, right? And you can go on from there. So I think that, you know, it's a very important conversation that needs to happen. And one of the things that I would like to do, and we have a new initiative at UC Berkeley and UC San Francisco called the Innovative Genomics Initiative. And one of our goals is to educate people about this technology and also to really try to you know, foster the conversation about bioethics that comes up around this.
Yeah, so it all sounds great. So why are scientists getting so freaked out about it? Well, there's a fear of designer babies. For example, Julian could change the length of a kid's finger or make sure they have his same beautiful blue eyes.
Yep, and a tail.
No.
But the process isn't an exact science yet. The editing could wind up affecting other genes in other places in the DNA that it wasn't meant for. The comment in Nature raised the possibility that, quote, the precise effects of genetic modification to an embryo may be impossible to know until after birth.
Yeah, so this big problem is when you aren't just editing the genome of one person. In a process called germline modification, researchers could edit the DNA in embryos or sperm and egg cells, and those changes could be passed on for generations. We have no idea what those changes could do in, say, 10, 20, 100 generations from now.
How is this going to change our future as humans? Are we going to engineer ourselves? Are we going to make designer babies? I think that's a really important question for everybody to be talking about, but I think that we're missing some of the really important aspects of that conversation, because in that conversation is an assumption that so much of us and ourselves and the things that we like about people is genetic, is something that we can address through gene editing. So things like intelligence, things like athletic ability, and this idea that, oh, we'll just turn those genes on using CRISPR and then people will be smarter. The more we assume that these things about us that are so fundamental to us are genetic only, I think the worse off we all are. So I would like to see our conversation about whether we're going to be able to design ourselves in the future address where the limits of that is, and where things like better education or better programs for people to and better ways of working together can make us all smarter and make us better.
Do you plan on having children when you're older?
I do.
If you had the ability to genetically modify your child, such as change their hair color, height, or anything of that sort, would you do so?
No, I would not do that, because I think each individual has its own characteristic, its own personality, its own tastes, beliefs, and I believe that's, as cliche as it is, I think that's what's beautiful about it and what makes the world what it is. Be it good or bad, each one is in a different way, and I appreciate that. So I would never change or choose hair color or eye color or anything.
Plan on having kids when you're older?
Yes, I do.
And so what do you think about genetically modifying your kids?
I think you shouldn't do it unless your kid has like a life-threatening condition where you could help them with it. But you shouldn't do it just to enhance like your kid's genes just for fun.
So, what's the problem? Well, for one thing, they say germline engineering is unpredictable. In an experiment on monkeys done at MIT, it only succeeded about 20 to 40% of the time. And when it doesn't work, it can accidentally delete parts of the genome that weren't targeted, potentially creating new mutations. Plus, they point out CRISPR isn't the only way to make sure a child doesn't inherit a mutation. With methods like in vitro fertilization, where the egg is fertilized outside of the womb, embryos can be tested for mutations before they're implanted into the mother, so no offspring can get the bad gene.
As powerful as CRISPR is, and it is, it's not infallible yet. Wrong edits still happen, as well as unknown errors that can occur anywhere in the DNA and might go unnoticed. The gene edit might achieve the desired result, disabling a disease, but also might accidentally trigger unwanted changes. We just don't know enough yet about the complex interplay of our genes to avoid unpredictable consequences.